morning and welcome once again to another edition of Meet the Church, a chance to find out a little bit more about another member of Dale Street Evangelical Church. And this morning, answering the 10 questions is the very lovely Naomi Butterfield. So 10 questions for us to find out a little bit more about Naomi. Over to you, Mrs. Butterfield.
Hi everybody, I am still alive. So, first question, my family life as a young girl, lots of really good memories. So I was born in Leeds, moved to Barnsley when we were quite young, lived there ever since. As you've already heard, obviously brother and sister, James and Hannah. It's really good, really. Main thing, lots of good fond memories of doing lots of nice things with mum and dad. They always worked really hard to provide for us. Didn't realise it at the time, but they did. Really good family holidays every year, usually with my grandma and granddad. So fond memories of that. Nice things to look back on. Had lots of friends round about. Go out in the morning, play out all day, come back when we were hungry. So pretty good really. Lots and lots of fond memories. Second question, earliest memories of church. So we used to go to Gospel Hall in Hemsworth, been going there ever since we were first born, so right from an early age. Not a huge amount of children there. We used to get a lot into the Sunday school, so knew quite a few children through the Sunday school. So we'd go along every Sunday, morning meeting, Sunday school in between an evening meeting, prayer and Bible study on a Thursday night every week. As a young child, you go along because you're told to by your parents, feel like you're just getting dragged along. Quite often in mine and Hannah's case, usually in big flowery hats and matching dresses, thanks to my mum. But, one thing that we always hated, but did it anyway. So just plodded along really till early teens at Hemsworth. Then obviously the biggest change for us was Dad leaving. We started coming along to Ossett, which obviously looking back on now, thank the Lord for that really, because that was the big turning point for us. I was already a Christian by the time we started coming to Ossett, but was kind of just stagnant along in my Christian life till we moved. Earliest memories really. Fairly good, can't complain too much. Nothing sort of major to say really as far as growing as a Christian. So what did I want to be at the age of 10? So really boring, nothing really much to say for this. One of the lucky ones really, and all I've ever wanted to do is be a nurse. Knew it from a really young age, never wanted to do anything else. Can't really say much more on that. I am pretty boring in the fact that I never wanted to do anything weird and wacky, and went along and did it. So what was Naomi like as a teenager? From my point of view, I would say not too bad really, could have been a lot worse. Mum might think slightly different, or certainly would say slightly different. Then again, I slightly got raw end of the deal here in the fact that you've heard from all them first and not been able to get my point across, but kept my head down when I was at school, worked hard, got my exams, had a decent group of friends. Then probably the biggest point for me being a teenager was meeting a boy. I was 16, first boyfriend. He wasn't a Christian, didn't go to church, so sort of kept it a bit of a secret to start off with, didn't tell mum and dad about it, hence where you heard the sneaking out in the middle of the night to see your boyfriend. Again, they'd be out wanting to do different things, weren't always upfront with them about being a Christian and going to church. Don't know why looking back on it now, but just that's how things were. So obviously, different things that they were wanting to get involved in felt like it wasn't the right thing to do, so tried to keep away from it, and do the best that I thought was I could by, sort of behaving myself and keeping on the right track, as well as still going to church week in, week out, but then still having, friends outside of church, boyfriend outside of church, and getting up to other things, but on the whole not too bad, and certainly could say now didn't turn out too bad, if you ask my mum, but see what she thinks about that one. So seeing as everybody else has then come out with what they did obviously turn out to end up doing for a job, as you know, I'm a paediatric nurse, so worked for 12 years at Sheffield Children's on intensive care, and then recently just moved to emergency department at Barnsley Hospital. So big change for me, very different to working on intensive care, but good, enjoying it. So good and bad sides to the job. Obviously working on intensive care for so many years, seeing people at the worst and the best, often, some very traumatic things, take a lot of sort of getting your head round. Not that you ever get used to it, but you kind of sort of learn how to deal with it, I suppose. So obviously that's the bad side of things. But biggest thing for me is seeing them kids come back in months, years time. I've been seeing them so poorly, and then seeing them walk back through the doors, fit as anything, knowing that we've been a little part of that. Obviously not just me, but a massive team behind it. But yeah, that's definitely the best side of the job, when you see them walk back through them doors. It makes all the bad times feel worthwhile. Definitely makes me much more thankful for what I've got to come home to with 3 healthy, beautiful children. But yeah, some good times. Enjoying it still 15 years on. Hopefully I always will. So how did me and James get together? Be 13 years this year since we first got together. You'd be impressed I remembered that. At camp, Yorkshire Christian camp, yeah. Totally came out of the blue for me, really. I don't know what you'd say about it, but didn't really have any idea that he thought that way. Got together at camp one year, and rest is history, really. First date for us, obviously, sort of getting things going on camp, very different when you're there in front of everybody, but I think he took me out at the cinema. Wouldn't be able to remember what we saw. James would, because he's sad like that, remembers everything, but went to cinema for his first date. So, what a good question this one is. Next one is for me. What would I eat every day if I could? Starter, main and dessert. Now, food for me, if you ask Kaz, that's her first memories of me. Food, be all and end all for definite. Love my food. So what would I have? Starter, I think all day long would be something deep fried and cheesy. I think definitely. I mean, if I have the choice, I'd rather go main and dessert every day, but if I get all three, then even better. Main, not a massive meat eater, so I tend to quite like anything sort of Italian-wise, pasta type things really. Like a nice lasagna now and again. I think I could quite easily eat that every day. Dessert, definitely got to be cheesecake all the way every time. And I'd have that for all three, starter, main and dessert if you let me, but kind of thought that'd be a bit boring really. But yeah, nice bit of cheesecake. So, how did I come to know the Lord Jesus? Well, at camp one year, I was 15 at the time. I'd been kind of sort of thinking about it for a while. Having always gone to church, knew the ins and outs of it and everything, knew my Bible fairly well. Obviously went along to church every week. But then just sort of got to a point where it was more than just going along because Mum and Dad said we had to go. Then at camp one year, one evening in the tent, remember it was Philip Gibson speaking. Can't even remember what he spoke about now, but the biggest thing that stood out for me, stood on that stage and said, I could bet that one person in the left-hand side of this tent, if the Lord came back tonight, would still be sat here and not going with everybody else. And for me, that was me. I was that person sat there in the left-hand side of that tent, and I just thought, it's got to be now. So I asked him into my heart and life then. I think only Dad was at camp that year, so I told Dad about it, and then I had to wait till we got home before telling Mum. But yeah, they were over the moon too. Yeah, and that's how I come to know the Lord. So, how has the Lord helped me in my life outside of church? Quite a tricky one sometimes, I suppose. There's certainly lots of times in my life where I felt like he isn't there and he hasn't been helping me, but then actually when you look back afterwards you think, how wrong was I? He's always there, always with us, always helping us. As Hannah and James previously mentioned, obviously, 2 or 3 things through our lives that have been massive life-changing things, some difficult times, tricky things to get through, but he's certainly been there with us, got us all through it. And then I think also certainly working in, my line of work and working in intensive care, you see people at their absolute worst times in their life, wouldn't ever wish to be in that position, and a common one that I would always hear is, if there was a God, he wouldn't let this happen. And it's hearing comments like that and sort of trying to stick with it, and then be there for them, not only in a professional capacity like doing the nursing side of things, but looking after them from an emotional point of view as well, and sort of trying to get them through that, the lowest point that they could ever imagine, with a child in so poorly, but then to see the majority of them getting better and coming back and walking through them doors, and you just think, actually he had a plan and he is there, and couldn't ever imagine being in that sort of situation without without God and without my faith, you know, knowing that He's there to help everybody through it, and then, you know, obviously ways for me to cope with seeing some of the things that I've seen, you know, like I said earlier, very traumatic at times, and you know, he is there and helps me through it, and then even now, sort of been there, particularly last few months through lockdown, coping with that with 3 girls, you know, at times feeling like can't do this much longer, but then knowing He's there to get us through it, and you know, we've always got Him to lean on, you know, and thankfully we've all come out other side still fairly sane, I would hope. But so yeah, he's always there and helps us in lots of ways that we don't even realise, maybe till a lot later down the line. So my go-to favourite verse, got lots of verses that, you know, mean a lot to me, but this one is one that was written in the front of my first Bible that I ever got bought for me, which Grandma and Grandad bought, and this verse was just written in the front cover, and it's always stuck with me ever since, you know, getting that Bible and seeing it written there, and I can read it to you. It's Psalm 37 verse 4, only a short one. So it says, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you your heart's desires." Always at first thought, is that a bit of a selfish verse? You know, just thinking about the Lord and then, you know, getting what your heart desires. But, you know, that's not the real meaning behind it, really. You know, I like the whole psalm when you read it, you know, all Psalm 37 together, puts it a bit more into perspective, really. But, you know, all about really trusting in the Lord and doing good for the Lord, you know, and really working for Him and doing what He wants to do and delighting in that, and delighting in the fact of everything that He provides for us. And I just found a little passage about it that I quite liked here. I'll just read it to you. So it says, "As we change our focus onto the Lord, so our faith in Him is excited within our hearts, and we are encouraged to trust in the Lord and do good, to feed on His faithfulness, so that we may become strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. We are to believe His promises and hold fast to the word of truth." God is the focus of our attention, so faith expands into joy, and when we delight ourselves in the Lord and make Him the singular joy and rejoicing of our heart. Delight yourself in the Lord, we are told, be captivated by His mighty beauty and wonder, make Him the cornerstone of your hope and linchpin of your life, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I just think that says it all, really.